You ready? I'd like to bring this meeting of the Jamestown Board of Canvassers of Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 to order at 2:45 p.m. We'll do the roll call first. If you could signify your presence and your status.
Hugh Murphy, full member of the Jamestown Board of Canvassers, Republican.
Ken Newman, Chair, Board of Canvassers, Democrat.
Daphne Meredith, Democratic member of the Board of Canvassers.
Laura Goldstein, Democratic alternate.
And also in the room is our canvassing clerk, Keith Ford. Let us go to the minutes.
Excuse me. Do I hear something in the background?
It's the windows.
The external construction.
It's they're taking off all of that
Siding.
siding.
Is that going to drive you mad?
No, I hear voices.
Speaking.
Sounds like they have a radio or something.
You have good ears.
No, I guess it just stopped.
If you could just raise your hands when you're ready to take a vote on the minutes.
I have a question. Keith, did you go to Washington for the advocacy meeting?
No, that's on, I leave on Monday, the 27th.
Oh, the 27th. Okay. Hey, you're going though, right?
Yes,
Good luck.
thanks.
I'm finished.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have
Any discussion?
I have some discussion.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment that the article about our meeting in the Jamestown Press was accurate. And it was well documented.
I was going to say something about that in open forum. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was really pleased with the article. I felt it captured accurately some complicated issues And other people have commented to me that they really liked it. And it also, I think, made clear what was ahead of us. And I was very pleased about that. Just simply because I really do feel as if it's very, very important, their coverage of everything that we're doing in terms of the FTM particularly. And so, I mean, I thought it covered a lot of territory.
Good.
And you know, I thought, I mean, to me, that's very important because since we're going to have more public interchange about the FTM in one form or another, I mean, because what's happening now is letters to the editor are coming in. I don't know how many they'll print. I don't know what their policy is. But so,
Well, report that single source of news about the Board of Canvassers be accurate.
yeah, because it's pretty much,
There. No, it's green.
No, you push it down and it pops.
No, she doesn't have the pop-up
he has a
button.
different,
She has a different microphone.
You're giving me a different line. That one's not working.
There we go.
Guests.
There
there we go.
Can you hear me now?
You'd pop it up. Now you'll be.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
So I think it's very important that the one source for the general public, is able to clarify some of these complicated points is very important because, that's the only way most of the island's going to find out what we're discussing.
Right. I think it is very important that our proceedings be accurately represented to others. And the press is one way for that to happen. So I also we're not really discussing the FTM now, but I will digress along with the rest of you and say that I noticed that in the last meeting, I wasn't here, but Hugh noted that he submitted a letter to the town council as a private citizen. Right?
Correct.
Correct? Okay. So I think that's a key distinction that we all need to be mindful of. Any one of us can submit a letter as a private citizen to anyone we choose. I think we need to be careful what actions we as the Board of Canvassers take around this topic. And I'll repeat what I've said in the past, which is it's really the purview of the town council to make decisions about the format of the FTM. So I think to be effective, I think we need to be mindful of our role in all of this as a collective board versus our role as private citizens.
And I also, on that point, I think I'm going to write a note to Tim Reel, the editor, indicating that if it's coming on behalf of the board by a board member or from the board as a totality, that's one thing and it says so. And if it's a member of the board, then the default is private citizen.
Correct.
And so that they must say, as a private citizen.
Correct.
And because
Do
otherwise,
we all agree on that? Okay.
because otherwise we would be cowed from sending letters to the editor as individuals.
We would also be overstepping our authority as the
Yeah.
Board of Canvassers, and I think we need to be very mindful of that.
Yeah.
We have to be, otherwise we lose our impact, for one thing.
Yeah.
and our credibility for, for another. So we just have to be careful.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, all voting members, how do you vote?
In favor of?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 ayes. Motion passes. We will go immediately to our Board of Canvassers report. Keith, if you could
Sure.
elucidate us on certification trainings and the 2026 legislative updates.
Sure. For certification trainings, we do have the course 9 makeup at April 10th, which is this Friday.
Mhm.
Course 11 will be on Wednesday, the 15th, and the second class for that, you have to attend one or the other, would be Tuesday, April 28th. The 15th in the morning, 28th in the afternoon.
What was the date again?
April 15th is in the morning, 9:30 to 12:30, and April 28th is in the afternoon, 12:30 to 3:30. That training will cover federal postcard applications, early voting, vote by mail, mail ballots, labels, deadlines and election calendars, ballot management, chain of custody, and documentation. Course 12 will be Wednesday, May 13th from 1:30 to 3:30, and or Tuesday, May 19th from 9:30 to 11:30. That course will consist of signature verification, nomination papers, declaration of candidacy, and primary and general election procedures. There's also a statewide tabletop exercise on Friday, May 1st, starting at 8:30. There's 2 Board of Canvassers staff members max, which me and Roberta will be attending. Any Board of Canvassers are encouraged to attend, but there'll be observations only. That's all I have for the training and certification.
What was that last one? June 1st?
May
May
1st.
Oh,
May
May
1st.
1st.
Yep.
And we can attend it. All of us can attend it because it's training.
Correct.
But we're observers only,
Observers only.
but we have to register.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I did register.
Right. Keith, let me ask you a question. Is it possible for us to get a email from you of where each of us is in terms of certification?
I don't have the numbers. The state's been.
They keep
making
it?
that- What was that?
The state keeps it?
Yeah, the Secretary of State's office is monitoring who's taking what.
I can call them.
Or I would probably email them because they're
Email-
probably
yeah.
ramping up, getting busy.
Well, that's for sure. And just say, can I get,
Yeah, can you give me a rundown on what classes
Yeah.
I've attended? Yeah. And then the 2026 legislative updates, there are a lot of election bills. I
boy,
can
Oh.
send a Excel sheet that I've been keeping track of, but the main ones are the Uocava overseas mail ballots, electronic mail ballots have passed the House and the Senate. They both have to go back to respective chambers to pass again, and then they'll go to the governor to be signed, which I believe the governor signed those earlier this week. The Senate 2147 and House 7049, which would change the primary date
Right.
if it lands on the Tuesday after the Monday Labor Day. That has passed both houses. Now, each bill has to go back to each house for passed again, which there'll be no discussion on. We expect that to pass, and then it'll go to the governor for approval, for his signature. Which I believe he's stated that he will sign the bill. And then there are quite a few others. There's a bill to change the election of delegates to conventions to be held on the 4th Tuesday of April instead of from the 4th Tuesday in April to the 1st Tuesday in March. And there's a companion bill in the Senate for that, but both have been held for further study. And then the Board of Canvassers appointments, terms, and chief local election officials have both bills in the House and the Senate, and that was just more clarifying timeframes to put on Board of Canvassers, the town council, or the approving or the appointing agency, to give them timeframes to appoint. There wasn't a lot of changes to that, but that was also held for further study. And then the only other thing I have is for the next meeting, we've not decided on whether it be May 12th or May 11th or May 12th. It's currently scheduled for May 20th, but we have the final canvas that has to be done on the
Yeah.
11th or 12th.
Could I make a pitch for May 11th? I mean, I'm sorry, May 12th?
I did send out the email, and I think Daphne was the only one that I got a response back from. I don't know.
Does May
availability.
12th work for everybody? It's a Tuesday.
I can do it. I generally don't respond until everybody else or a quorum responds because I'm more flexible.
How about you, Hugh? No?
Tuesdays and Thursdays are not good for me.
Not good for you? Mhm.
12th is a Thursday,
12th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It would be Monday, the 11th, or Tuesday, the 12th.
I could do either one.
I can't do Monday, the 11th, but I could do Tuesday, the 12th.
Hmm.
When is the final canvas due?
Either one of those 2 days.
Either one of those 2 days. And it's timed. It's a time constraint
Yeah,
prior,
be done.
so many
prior.
days prior.
Correct. It also has to be done a certain amount of days after the last day to register to vote,
Got it.
and the 5-day waiting period for mail-ins.
Got it. Okay. And we don't know Jennifer's availability at this point.
No,
Okay. Well, should we hold the matter? Do we need to decide right now?
we don't need to decide right now,
But
but
we need to
the sooner
decide
the better
soon.
so that people can
Right.
schedule.
Right. Okay. It's up to you guys. I cannot be here on the 11th.
All right, why don't we,
Laura can't, so
why don't we
you have your
can-
alternate.
why don't we, Keith, can you contact Jennifer directly?
Yeah, I've tried before. She
I
didn't
know.
answer, but she did say if she was coming today, but she would be late.
Yeah,
So if she makes it before the end of the meeting, well,
then we will bring it up again.
Okay, great.
Okay, that sounds good. And Keith, we're going to circle back to you in unfinished business with item number 1. But the first unfinished business item, review, discussion, and/or action and/or vote financial town meeting, creation of a reference guide and educational brochure.
Right. So you have the most recent draft now, or you should. And it's been significantly edited, honed, and tailored to describe Jamestown. I did catch a couple of typos in the draft that you have. I won't bore you by going over them unless you want to let me know if you found any others that I haven't seen. I'll just walk you through it very, very quickly, and then I will talk about feedback I received and ideas that I have about how to deploy this with the town council's acceptance, permission, and approval. So it's just a basic description of what is a town meeting. What's the difference between cities and towns? How is Jamestown governed? What happens before the FTM to prepare voters and to prepare the budget? I mean, it's like an FAQ. It answers questions. Who can vote? How is the actual town meeting conducted? What's a moderator? Who may speak? What is the role of the Board of Canvassers and other town employees and departments? What does the town clerk do? What does the town solicitor and town bond counsel do during the meeting? How do I find out when the FTM will take place? What's a warrant? What are the articles? May voters place articles on the warrant? And finally, suggested procedural etiquette. So I did get feedback from various people, and I want to just point out what is existing, what exists out there. So we've all seen these, right? Because they're in the press every year prior to town meeting. The press does a nice job of publishing these informational leaflets or whatever you want to call them. And they're entitled Town Moderators General Rules for Town Meetings and Information for Financial Town Meeting, the specific items on the warrant, plus more information for financial town meetings. So given that we have this that is disseminated to every household in town through the press, and I'm happy to pass them around, they're very accurate and very concise. My thought is to offer this guide or the FAQs regarding the FTM as an adjunct to what gets published in the press, so that in this publication, there would be a little note. For more information, please see the town's website. And my recommendation would be that this be incorporated into the town's website. I think throwing 1, 2, 3.5 more pieces of paper at people and incurring expense to disseminate this information is ill-advised, given that we have this very concise and accurate information published in the press every year. However, I do think that, if people are new to town or are not familiar with the procedure of a town meeting, and many towns, by the way, in Rhode Island are moving away from the financial town meeting format. So far, we still have it. So I think the best way to use this guide is to incorporate it into the town's website, rather than having more paper out there, whether it's available through the website or a QR code. I think it should be available for people who seek more information, not delivered to them with their paper, because I don't think people are going to read it. I think less is more, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think it's important to have information out there, but I think how we deliver it should be less is more. That's my thought. That's my opinion. I'm throwing it out there for your discussion and agreement, disagreement.
I will say that that booklet that is in is actually published by the press, but it's given to them by the town finance office.
And it's okay. Thank you for that clarification. I mean, it's incredible.
Yep.
It's really, really good information, because I went back and looked at it very carefully to make sure that this isn't redundant, and some of it is. So I'm circling back to the less is more, but if you want clarity or further clarity or the history, I think this is informative and elaborative to this. But it shouldn't necessarily, if we're handing voters all of this and saying, "Oh, come to town meeting," I'm not sure how useful that is as a practical matter. But if you have
Or how the
this to be able to, yeah, exactly. But if you have this to refer to for further information, again, this is something that's beyond our ability to decide, but we can offer it for consideration.
Particularly because people will be bringing whatever is published about the bonds with them. Keith, how many copies of the bond folio did we have last?
To bring to the financial town meeting,
Yeah.
we usually do not have many.
Well, we had 50 or 100.
I don't think we even had that many last year. I think we just had scrambled up a few of them. Because most people will they're told to bring them with
They're
them.
told to bring it, but okay. I agree. I think that's the way to do it, which is put it on I am increasingly going to FAQs on the town website, like things like mooring permit information. And, stuff that sometimes is a little opaque. And it works really well.
I'd like to make a comment. I think it's well written. I think it provides additional information, and yes, I would like to make a motion to have it presented to the town council as a possible addition to the town website.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All voting members, cast your vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I think this looks great.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you agree that it's useful information. I'm also glad that you agree about how to disseminate it, because I really struggled
Yep.
with that. And I got a lot of very constructive feedback related to that aspect of it. And I also think, since I'm the one who keeps circling back to we need to be mindful of our role, I think I see having crafted this as a well-intentioned service to the town. And they may see it otherwise, and that's fine. I think because we are asked to participate in the FDM, we feel that we have, I'm not going to say the right to comment, but we feel inclined to comment about things. But we,
Well, I would go a step further. I think we're an advisory board, if you will. So anything,
an unofficial advisory board in a way.
Well,
you know, we are somewhat official from the aspect that the town council asks us to more or less run the town meeting from the standpoint of any voting action and also admissions. We're at the door.
Yes, we are checking people in.
Checking people in.
Mhm.
So we do have, limited authority, but I think it certainly is an advisory. We can comment if something is really off and provide that information. We're not doing it as you must do this. We're not a town solicitor, for instance.
No, but I think, as we discussed before, I think there's a really fine line between us speaking as, or there should be a very clear line between us speaking as private citizens and us speaking collectively as a board. That's my only point. Yeah, and we don't have a specific charge from the council about any of this, right? So, and it's certainly not part of our mission, right? So we just need to be careful.
I seem to
That's-
recall that when I made the presentation, they, we had the caveat that we would present additional information.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Now, Daphne, if we can get that to me in the final draft
Yep.
by the 14th, I can get it to Roberta, because she would need it by noon on the 15th
Absolutely.
to get it on the town council
Yep.
agenda for the 20th.
Done. Consider it done.
Do we want a presentation, or do you want to just supply them with the draft or the final draft and an information sheet, or do you want to see if we can do a presentation?
So what if we give it to them and I just plan to be in the audience if they have any questions, since I wrote it?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Sure, if you want to come along for moral support. But-
When would that be?
The 20th town council meeting?
Okay, I think that's good. Subset 1 of unfinished business A, Board of Campuses requested the town council for approval to move forward. Can you give us a status report, Keith?
For this one?
That's, the Board of Campuses requested the town council for approval to move forward.
That's what Hugh just
Oh,
motioned.
But do we know, is there any specific thing where, how are they going to notify us?
Well, we'll go to the meeting, we'll present it. If they have any questions, they'll ask us, and then
Okay.
whether they make a move on it or not will be up to them.
Okay. Um, Next item, B, review, discussion, and/or action and/or vote 26 I voted sticker creation. Discussion and/or action on collaboration with the Jamestown School Department on the creation of a new 2026 I voted sticker.
So I've been in conversation with the school department art teacher. She is getting me deadlines on when she can get it done. She believes she can possibly fit it in the end of April to beginning of May. She's gonna get me exact dates. The only thing she would need from us is she would like a poster or an informational sheet on that the kids can refer to. And go back. She does not need anybody coming in because there's 10 different classes she'll be administering this to. But she said a poster and the information sheet I gave her will suffice. She's going to give the kids a template that's larger than the 2.5 inches. And then she'll be able to scale them down to 2.5 inches to be printed on stickers. We're hoping she can get it completed by the first to second week of May. We can go to judging the first section where it narrows it down to 5, and then the public judging, which will take the 5 and narrow it down to the first place and second place winners. And then we'll be able just to print them here in-house. And then we'll give them to second place will get the primary, first place will get the general election stickers.
Keith, this is fantastic. And I wasn't here last week when you told the rest of last month when you told the rest of the board about this. Thank you so much. This makes us, it makes my heart sing because this came out of that, the ad hoc committee
Yes,
that
it did.
Laura, Ken, and I were on about election practices, and it's in response to concerns raised by citizens about the coloration of the stickers. So I love how we've come full circle, and now it's in the hands of the art teacher at Lawn Avenue. This is fabulous.
And one thing that was really exciting, later I'll get to a brief report about the Boards of Canvassers Collaborative meeting where I filled in for Daphne Meredith. At that meeting, Cranston talked about they did it already. And so they had, through their schools, the development of the I voted sticker. And they're really excited about it. And I mean, they'd gotten complaints about the colors and, all of this, but also to have a personal, local stamp on it, I think is really great. And I think what Nick, had in mind and what the people from Cranston were saying was that it's really an important linkage from adults to kids about voting,
The value of
the
voting.
value of it, because it shows them they're valued in this process before they can vote. And so I just thought that was really great.
Well, it gets them involved
Yeah.
because, being so young, they're not able to really engage. So this gives them a focus and a forum and things. Is there any possibility we could get some information about how Cranston did theirs? Then if you want, I can make a set of rules up and stuff,
I had the rules.
or is she going to do that?
Well, I had the rules in last month's, the rules that I created.
Uh-huh.
And Cranston ran theirs in 2020. He's running it now in 2026. I went by a whole bunch of different towns. I looked them up
Yeah.
throughout the US and kind of made it personalized to Jamestown the best I could.
And the important thing, Keith, in my estimation about that is the representation on the committee.
Yep.
that, you know, that there be representation, you know, covering different constituencies,
Correct,
including, for example, the Jamestown Art Center.
correct. I tried to make a list of, I
Yeah.
think there's probably 10
Who are
judges
interested.
in that list, and we'll narrow it down to probably 7 judges.
Yeah.
And then the 5 that those judges narrowed down to will go to a public, we'll have a Survey Monkey online site that they can go to and judge out of the 5, which one they like first, second, and third, or first and second. And we'll go from there, let the public decide ultimately which one it is.
So what do you need from me?
We'll make an informational poster.
Okay, so can I meet with you next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So I think that in new business, we don't have any communications, but in new business, does anybody have something in new business in particular they want to talk about?
That new we have nothing under new business. I was supposed to have deleted that one.
Yeah.
But I missed that one.
I'm just going to go right to open forum.
Yeah, if it's not on the agenda, we
Right.
we
Yep.
can't discuss it. We have to put it off till next meeting.
I just wanted to go back to the certification training thing briefly, which is one of the things that became very, very clear to me was the enormous disparity between what the involvement is of members of the boards of canvassers in terms of what they do. There are multiple communities where the only time they actually meet
Oh, you mean on an ongoing
on
basis?
an ongoing
Okay.
basis, the only time they actually meet is for the required meeting on election day. Otherwise, they come in and sign. So this is one of the things that this sort of implies is that a lot of the things that we're going to be sort of dealing with in terms of these various issues that are coming in front of us, I'm increasingly realizing that it's going to be a rude awakening to any number of communities when they realize that they are legally required to do all of these things that they have never done before. And that's why I was interested in the issue of the certification, because they know who's not up to speed in terms of certification at the Board of Elections. And so that's something that I'm going to keep my eye on. Basically, I think what the significance is that the Board of Elections is looking for boards of canvassers that are willing to take an emulative leadership role in getting the word out about what this process really entails. If you had been a board where you didn't really do anything except come in and sign off, this whole process is really alien.
So you said they are keeping track of, is it the BOE, the SOS, or both, keeping track of who, to what extent members of boards of canvassers are completing the training? Is that right? Or did
They're-
I
They
miss
bring
you?
attendance for it because there is if you complete all the classes.
Right, you get a,
graduate,
right,
get a
you
certificate.
graduate. Hmm.
So they are monitoring attendance that way
Okay,
and with the quizzes, but it's
Yeah.
both
right.
BOE and SOS working together.
So I guess it would be interesting to know, just out of curiosity, like how well uh, the distribution among boards of canvassers, like, are all of them, are some of them participating in the training? Just out of curiosity, it would be interesting to know, because I think it's useful, certainly useful for administering elections, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm really interested to know, because I want to see how successful they're being in lowering the boom, which is to say, by X date, you all have to be doing this.
well, there is a deadline, right? Isn't there, Keith?
Um,
Or is it
It's a sort of rolling process.
not at
right.
this point?
yeah, right now it's required for the Board of Canvassers staff.
That
Staff, right,
The members
members,
can do it,
right, it's
which I'm
voluntary.
not sure what their ideas are in the future, if they're gonna
Right.
make it required for everybody or
but
not. But I know this first year was required for the staff.
Staff,
members.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see which way. Do you have any sense of which way that's heading?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't either.
I would make the suggestion that if the staffs are all trained, they should be able to, in turn, train the members of the Board of Canvassers in their respective towns or cities.
Well, a lot of these trainings, they bring outside instructors in. So it would be more difficult, I think. Some things, yes, but I think other things, the instructors that come in are well versed in what they do.
Yeah. And I also had the suggestion that it should be made more convenient than going up to Cranston, the middle of the day or early in the day. Should be like available online, a Teams meeting, which you can control admission.
Yep.
So anyway, I just tossed those out as suggestions.
Well, if I could make a suggestion, I really think at a certain point, if we're initiating all this, that at some point it becomes mandatory for the Board of Canvassers to attend and to be well versed. If we want to raise the bar, it's going to have to be for everybody.
I mean, I think there's strong feeling about that in the Secretary of State's office, very strong.
Yeah.
And in terms of that, I would say they are much further ahead in terms of ambition than the Board of Elections.
I think this first year was kind of like see how it goes,
Yeah.
where we can improve for the following years.
And I mean, one interesting aspect of that is it's the Secretary of State's office, which is through the secretary, most in touch with the voters.
Yes.
And so it's driven by that fact, which is the Secretary of State runs, the Board of Elections does not run. And so the Board of Elections doesn't get as much public feedback because it's very difficult to give public feedback to the Board of Elections. And when you ask for something, often you don't get it. We sent a letter asking about the issue of the campaign, running for delegate to a convention. I've been in contact with leadership from both parties. This is a big issue. And so I've decided, I went to Miguel Nunez and I said, we sent a formal letter. And he said, oh, we didn't respond to it? And I said, no, you didn't respond to it. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to write a letter as a
Private.
private citizen to the Attorney General's office asking for a rendering. And then I'm going to present that rendering to the Board of Elections. But I mean, this is an example. We formally sent a letter quite some time ago. No awareness whatsoever that it had not only was not responded to, there was no intention to respond to it. So,
Well, some of these issues were identified in the ad hoc group that we had
yeah,
Right.
earlier.
Yeah.
So this is just a continuation of those issues
I mean, of course, it's
now have to be addressed.
a lot has changed, and I think Miguel has done an amazing job in moving them forward, and the new members of the board, same. But this is like turning around an ocean liner as opposed to the Secretary of State's office. And that's just the nature of the difference in terms of how close it is to the electorate. I mean, I think you could say the same thing about the Ethics Commission. You can request a rendering from the Ethics Commission and they'll say yes or no, but they won't tell you why. And so,
Bless you.
but anyway, okay. I think we're done. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So just because we're still in open forum, you attended a strategic planning session that was driven by the Canvassing Collaborative. Can you just give us the highlights of that? I was unable to go. You went in my stead, and it was members of the Canvassing Collaborative, so statewide members of boards statewide, and then there were 2 outside consultants who
Yeah.
guided the process.
The 2 outside consultants were really, really good. And these things often can be really tedious because it can feel sometimes, if it's not adroitly done, that there are expectations that the facilitators are trying to steer you towards. And this was the exact opposite of that. And I thought it was incredibly effectively done. The issues that they are trying to do is to figure out how to get from the collaboratives situation right now to a formal organization that is constructed similarly to Keith's organization, the Canvassing Authorities organization. Keith, what's the formal name of it?
The Rhode Island Association of Cities and Town Clerks.
So a lot of what it had to do was breaking down into groups of 6 to work on the sort of vision, a sort of vision template and an action template based on a sort of strengths, weaknesses items, and then valorizing them by attaching a number, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of importance. And they did a really good job at this. So it began to raise a whole series of questions like, how do you become, is it to become a dues-based organization in terms of its funding? How do you get from where they are right now to that point? And if it's going to require outside funding as a stepping stone, what are potentially the guidelines for what would be appropriate to receive funds from and what would not be appropriate? And so people came up with different questions like, well, what about the Knight Foundation, well known for supporting efforts like this in multiple states? Okay, that would be one thing. What about the Soros Foundation? That they do that too. That was not considered a possibility. What about the Rhode Island Foundation? Well, they'd already been to the Rhode Island Foundation and spoken with David Cicilline, and so they were working with that information, but he was cautious about what that funding would look like. So basically what they were strategizing about is what are the top 5 things that to become a professional organization that can do things like cover costs of training and sending people to conferences, that can also cover things like printing things that would be used in all of the towns and cities. How do you get from where we are right now to where that group wants to go? And the issue areas were pretty wide ranging, but there was a lot of, I would say, agreement about what they felt we're up against as election officials
Mhm.
in this environment. Our difficulty as boards of canvassers that we have limited authority with the Board of Canvassers and the Secretary of State's office. It's delimited. And so we have to work within that structure. We have difficulties with misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And it's increasing, not steady state. We have public skepticism and polarization, and we have venting at meetings. And so we have physical security issues. And all of these things, I think I'm going to write up a note summarizing this, which I haven't had a chance to do yet, which I'll send to Keith and he'll send it to all of us. Because I took copious notes. Everybody did.
Great.
And the other thing that was, to me, very, very moving was the really sincere bipartisanship of this. And we say bipartisanship because in the state of Rhode Island, it's bipartisan. I mean, they said, well, we can technically say multi-partyism, but, but it was really moving to see the issues kept coming up where Republicans and Democrats agreed their priorities were very similar. The individual things they wrote down in the first gathering of things were sounded over and over and over again. And I thought that was, so I will summarize that. And Daphne's going to be meeting with Sharon.
Sharon, I'll be able to report on, I'm going to have a conversation with Sharon to catch up, and I'll be able to report on that at our next meeting.
Great.
Good. We'll add that to the agenda.
If it's on May 12th, sorry, you. Sorry.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All voting members
Aye.
cast your vote. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. This meeting is adjourned at 3:38.